And all of this about ships. Let's add one more. BC Ferries happens to run one of the largest fleet of ferries in the world, a vital way for thousands of people to get to work or the summer home or get to their cars, whatever they do. But with no new ships on the horizon, it means they need to be as efficient as they can be with what they have. Canada has more coastline than any other country in the world. And a good 27,000 kilometers of it can be found right here in British Columbia. So not surprisingly, this is also where you'll find one of the biggest ferry operators in the world.
BC Ferries occupies a very important place in the communities of coastal British Columbia. Many of these communities, the only practical automotive transportation link is BC Ferries.
Every year, 8 million vehicles and 22 million people cross these waters, traveling between the mainland and the islands.
And that's a large number of sailings a year, about 182,000 sailings a year by British Columbia Ferries.
And it's not just the biggest fleet of ferries in the world, it's also one of the oldest.
The average age of our fleet is 34 years.
And this aging fleet is in need of some major overhauling. That's why the spirit of British Columbia is in the dockyards.
We're starting to show a little bit of wear, a little bit of rust, and things were starting to look a bit not what you'd expect for a passenger ship.
We're on board the Spirit of British Columbia here this morning, and she's in the final stages of our refit here at our fleet.
It's Mark Collins' job to make sure all the ferries in the fleet are in top-notch condition.
One of the major operational challenges we have at BC Ferries is that we carry a lot of people for most of the year, and then we have a very tight window in which to refit our ships.
The work needs to be done during the slow season.
We take that opportunity mostly between the middle of September and early May to do the refit on our fleet. We perform about 24 refits every year on a fleet of 35 vessels.
It's a tight schedule getting all the ferries through the shipyards. In fact, right now, tugs are getting ready to pull this ship out to sea so they can make room for the next one.
Waiting out in the river right now to come in for maintenance is the Queen of Chilliwack, one of our intermediate-sized vessels.
So the pressure's on to get this one in shape. The Spirit of British Columbia is one of the biggest in the fleet. It has 4 main engines with 18,500 horsepower. Enough power to carry over 400 cars and 2,000 passengers. So they want to make it as efficient as possible.
In this refit, we replaced the pistons, the cylinder liners, and added new technology which reduces the oil consumption of the engines significantly. Right now, these engines burn 1/3 less lubricating oil than they did before we refit the engine.
During refits, a lot of concentration is put on improving the ship's efficiency and environmental performance. But they also want ships to be as comfortable as possible.
This is one of the forward lounges on deck 5, one of our 2 passenger decks where the passengers will be seated during the crossing.
While the finishing touches are being added here, there's still plenty of work in the buffet area.
There'll be workers on here up until midnight the night before we go into service.
They will spend a couple of months giving this 13-year-old a facelift, but when you're past middle age, you do need more than cosmetics. That is when they come here.
This is the Queen of Alberni, one of our C-class vessels. The C-class is a class of 4 ships, major vessels in the BC Ferries fleet. Over the last 4 years, we've been putting each one through a procedure which we call the midlife upgrade. That's where we take a ship who's approximately 20 years old, completely dismantle it, strip it back to bare steel, and rebuild all of the systems to prepare it for another 20 years of service.
The whole process takes 8 months. It's not just a matter of replacing old parts. In some cases, it's completely reconfiguring the structure of the ship to meet new safety standards. The Queen of Alberni's getting bigger buoyancy tanks to help her stay afloat in case of flooding. And to help passengers exit the ship quickly in an emergency, the stairwells are being widened and a new escape system being installed.
The Queen of Alberni is being fitted with the state-of-the-art evacuation systems. They're slide systems, not unlike what you see on aircraft, to enable the passengers to egress the vessel and into the life rafts completely enclosed.
The old exit slides were dark, intimidating chutes. Passengers leaving the ship couldn't see where they were going. The new ones are brighter and more open, so passengers are more comfortable using them.
So the speed with which we can evacuate the vessel is greatly enhanced by using these systems.
Some of the ferries are reaching the end of their useful life and need to be retired. So right now, new ships are being built here and in Germany.
BC Ferries right now is in the middle of perhaps the biggest shipbuilding program in Canada today, non-military shipbuilding program. It's certainly the biggest shipbuilding program in the company's history. We expect to take delivery of 7 new ships in the next 3 years.
Although the fleet of BC Ferries isn't growing in size, it is certainly going to look and feel a lot younger. Time to head out to the ports. The busy season is about to kick into high gear.